is that this is an exciting time in your life. It's living independently is honestly awesome if you do it well, but it could be equally terrible if you don't do any due diligence and don't take care of yourself. So really just for your own benefit, to make sure you're living with people who are considerate to you and you're living in a place that you can really enjoy, I encourage you to at least get some advice or start looking as early as possible. One of those things that's really going to determine how much you enjoy living at whatever place you pick is going to be maintenance. And whether you like it or not, you're going to have some sort of relationship with your landlord. So knowing that, you might as well make sure that it's a really good one. So before you go into any place, a couple of maintenance things you'll want to consider is, what are you responsible for? Because again, you want to be focusing on going to class, having a social life, and not like shoveling the snow in your driveway, right? So who's going to be responsible for the grass, snow, trash? And also, depending on where you're living, the heating technology being used is going to really determine how much you're paying for your utilities. So you want to ask about that. Another thing you want to know is what happens if the furniture or appliances are damaged. And finally, just in general, how do maintenance requests work? What can you expect? And I always say, if you're going on a showing and you're not really getting that warm and fuzzy feeling that you're going to be taken care of and that they're hearing you out, shouldn't really expect them to give you good service when it comes to the actual maintenance. I, for example, had a case where my dishwasher broke and it took them 8 months to fix my dishwasher. So in effect, I was paying for it and not able to use it. I don't want you to go through that. So really be hard at the beginning on them, ask them a lot of questions, and make sure that you know what you can expect. Now, the other side of that is obviously landlords have responsibilities to you as a tenant, but similarly, you're going to have some responsibilities to the landlord and the property that you pick. Probably the most obvious one is just paying your rent on time. It's going to be good for you, your record. You always want to make sure to do that. It's basically the biggest responsibility you have. Other than that, I would really recommend, if you ever move into a place, or when you do, within the first 48 hours, take a look around to see if there's any damage or any problems that could arise at all. Because if you bring that up months later, they're going to try to pin that on you. You want to make sure you go in, check everything, and if anything's wrong, tell them within a reasonable time period that there are serious problems. Another one is just, act reasonably. And that just goes anywhere you live. You want to be considerate and just have an open dialogue with your neighbor if you have any issues at all. The last thing I want to make sure that I mention, and I know we did, but just to remind you, a landlord cannot request a tenant pay any additional fees or deposits. So the only thing that they're legally allowed to do is ask for the first month of rent in advance. Make sure you know that. And then, of course, just to briefly bring up who you're living with. Just like anything, more important than what you're doing is who you're doing it with. So spend some time making sure that you're going to pick a group that's going to be considerate of you. It's going to hear you out, and it's going to be fair when it comes to living with them. Okay,